we have to reward the people who come on time. So we'll start on time and we finish on time. This is called adult education, which means it's up to you. I'm not going to check attendance sheets. I'm just doing my part, and I hope you do your part. How many of you are Sankirtan devotees? Raise of hands. How many of you are Sankirtan devotees? How many of you are Sankirtan devotees? I want to see a show of hands. How many of you are Sankirtan devotees? You see, that's our problem. Sambandha. Identity. If you think I'm a manager, I'm a preacher, I'm a book distributor, I'm a kitchen guy, I'm a this, I'm a that, that's your problem. Upadhi, designation. Sarvopadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam rishikena rishikesha sevanam bhakti ruchyate. So, you're not any of these things. But everybody is a Sankirtan devotee if you're part of the Sankirtan movement. If you're chanting Hare Krishna, if you're trying to expand the Sankirtan movement, you're a Sankirtan devotee. But are you feeling yourself as a Sankirtan devotee? That's the question. That's the question. Okay? So, without Sambandha Gyan, without a clear perception of identity, what is my role and what is my relationship with the people that I'm interacting with? Not very good abhideya, not very good prayojana. So work on the identity. Who am I? Ke ami. Be clear on who you are, and it will be much easier for you to do your service in an impactful way. We spoke a little bit about the what. So can somebody sum it up? What are we trying to do here this week? What do you remember? What are we trying to do here? Remind us. You know, your job as a leader is to communicate with your team. And there's something called mission drift. You know drift? People who drift? You have to remind your team at least once every 3 weeks what the mission is, because they will forget. Because they have the attention span of goldfish. How long is the attention span of a goldfish? Half an hour? A goldfish. Did you ever tap on an aquarium? Have you done this? No? Yes. How long does a goldfish pay attention? One moment, yes. They come there, and then they see no food, and then they go away, right? So, you have to remind people about what is it that we're trying to do here, constantly. That's your duty as a leader. You have to communicate what is it that we're trying to do here. It's not just enough to say, hey, I know, and I'm doing it, and why is everybody else in Maya? You have to be able to communicate the mission regularly, okay? So what is it that we're trying to do? Remind us. Somebody remind us what we're trying to do here.
Just now, Prabhuji, you taught us about the principle and values. So, first we want to learn the principle and values for book distribution. These 10 statements which you just narrated to us.
Okay?
Explain.
Thank you. Something else? What we're trying to do these 5 days? There's microphones, use them. We're not against technology.
We are trying to develop the right attitude as a devotee to render these services, and particularly book distribution.
Okay, Srila Prabhupada, thank you. Srila Prabhupada once said, don't teach them techniques, just teach them how to be sincere. And then he motioned to his heart, and then he said, and then the Lord in the heart will teach them everything that they need to know. We're not trying to teach skills primarily, although we'll have 3 days to work on those, but primarily it's about principles and values, it's about character, right kind of attitude, right kind of behavior, and then the skills, they very easily follow. Okay, thank you. Now, why are we doing what we're doing? Your homework for today is write down the 108 reasons why you want to expand book distribution. Now that might sound scary. At least give me 5, the 5 top ones, like your 5 main reasons why you're doing what you're doing. Do people ever ask you why you're doing this? Yeah? Does your own mind sometimes ask you why are you doing this? Do you have a mind? Does your mind talk with you? Are you friends? Can go both ways, right? Huh? So better have a healthy relationship, healthy dialogue with your mind. Otherwise, if your mind starts hating you and starts hating what you do, you're in trouble. Huh? And people are going to ask you why you're doing this. I was in Guanajuato, Mexico, and I met a man, elderly man. He had a 3-piece suit. You know what a 3-piece suit is? Pants, shirt, jacket, the vest, the tie, the nice shoes, the cane, the gold rings, the hat, and he had a handlebar mustache. You know what a handlebar mustache is? Like this. You know? And before I could say one word, he said, "What are you trying to do?" What I tell him, you know, he's an old guy. He looks like a lawyer or a judge or, some aristocratic person. I can't impress this person. So what do you do when you don't know what to do? Krishna, a miracle right now. So I told him, I'm trying to develop humility and introspection through selfless service. And he looked at me. Humility and introspection through selfless service. He said it twice. Humility and introspection through selfless service. And he was twirling his mustache. He said, how much? How much is the book? And he bought books. If you can communicate why you're doing what you're doing, people they can't argue with that. Why? Because that's your honorable cause. That's what you're trying to do. So be clear on why you're doing what you're doing. And as leaders, you have to be willing to inspire people, to lead them, to guide them, to give them good reasons, because they may forget. They may forget why they're doing what they're doing, and you have to remind them. So write down your 5 top reasons why you want to distribute books and why you want to increase book distribution. If you don't have them, ask somebody. Look at the books, figure something out, make something up, but you got to have your 5 top reasons. Like somebody wakes you up in the middle of the night and says, why are you doing this? And then you tell them, I want to please my guru, I want to please Prabhupada. Whatever it is that drives you, write that down. Okay? All right. Now, you heard of the 7 purposes of ISKCON? Did you study them in any of your courses before here? You went through that, right? Done. Now, have you noticed how practically all the 7 of them have something to do with books? You noticed? Huh? No? Like here. Where is the book part in this? Okay, good. Here. You see any books in here? So we didn't just make this up, right? This is not just propaganda. This is actually what we're supposed to be doing, right? This is what Prabhupada came up with. Okay. Where's the book thing here? Together, yeah, that's together means Sankirtan, right? Samyak Kirtan. Yeah. And Sambandha, Abhideya, Prayojana, it's all there. Okay. Do you see any Sankirtan in here? So we didn't just put that, right? That was there before. Okay, good. Because, you know, it can happen to movements. Sometimes people just make propaganda. They say we need to make a lot of money, we need to make a lot of members, we need to build a lot of buildings, and there's just stuff goes in different directions. So your job as a leader is to make sure that your group is actually on track. They're actually doing what they're supposed to be doing. Is this part of... Where is this in the books? Huh? Transcendental pastimes, yes. Varnashram, where is Varnashram in the books? First canto. Did you read first canto? Everywhere, right? All about that. Haribo. I really love that one. That's the all-in-one, you know? You know what it basically says? It says, even if you just do this, all the other stuff will be included. Because in its seed form, it will start through the books. Because all the other 7 purposes are actually gonna be implemented if you just study and distribute Prabhupada's books. So, make sure you meditate on this, you communicate this, you study this with your congregation, with the people in your team, and they're educated in this. Because believe me or not, I've been around the world more than 20 times. I've done studies in all the ISKCON centers that I visited, and I just spent 6.5 years in North America. Less than 10% of our congregation has the books, and less than 10% of our congregation has read all the books. Scary, huh? Pretty scary. I think that's not a passing mark. What do you think? If you score 8% on a test, is that a passing mark? Not really, right? Passing mark is more like 60, right? 55, 60, otherwise no good, no go. So there's a little bit of homework to do here. We have to educate our congregation. It's not enough that they just show up on Sunday and, you know, they pay for some puja and they sponsor some prasad and they come every now and then. It's not enough. We have to do better than that. The bar is a little higher. Okay? Any questions on this so far, on any of what we covered the morning or now? Yes?
May I know the vision which you mentioned in the beginning, long-term vision. So what could be the long-term vision for book distribution?
For book distribution or for the book distributor or for the activity in and of itself?
For book distributor as well as an institution, what should be the vision for book distribution? And as for a distributor also, what should be at different times, what should be his vision?
So we have a car park. You're familiar with car parks? So we have here So future of book distributors. We're going to cover this in day number 5 because that's about the future, okay? Then what's the future of book distribution? Anandam Buddhivardhanam. Ever increasing. Because the world is suffering under ignorance. And Tadvag Visarga Janataga Viplava Yasmin Pratishlokam Abadavapyapi Namani Antasya Shonkintaniyat Shrinvanti Gayanti Grinanti Sadava. That verse is there in every Bhagavatam, right in the beginning. And it predicts Prabhupada and his translation of the Bhagavatam, because he translated from one foreign language to another foreign language. Yet people who are sincere, they will appreciate this message. And it creates a cultural revolution in the hearts of misguided humanity. This is very much needed, very much necessary. So books are always going to be there. They're always going to be important. Did you notice that we're the sampradaya of the book? Huh? Nana Shastra Vicharanaika Nipuno Sadharma Samstapako Lokanam Hitakarino Tribhuvane Manyo Sharanya Karo Rara Krishna Padara Vinda Bhajana Nandena Mataliko Vande Rupa Sanatana Raigoyago Sri Jiva Gopalako. So, straight through the parampara, back to Brahma. You know that picture, Brahma with the book in the hand? How did that book get up there? Well, Krishna distributed the book to Brahma. How did he do it? Huh? Tene Brahma Hridaya Divakavaye Muyanti Atsuraya and so on. Huh? So, this is our parampara. We're here to give knowledge. We're here to give vision to people. So, that's part. Now, printed books, obviously, before we had palm leaves, before it was shabda, it was orally transmitted. It's the same substance that just gets communicated in slightly different mediums. That's a detail, how it's communicated. Now we have electronic, we have different ways of how to communicate the message. Some other thing you were asking? Future of book distributors, the future of book distribution, and one more, right?
We wanted to learn that what can be the right vision and wrong vision for book distribution. As an institution, one thing.
Yes.
And as a practitioner, when we are told to do distribute books.
Yes.
So in those moments, what could be the wrong vision? So I wanted to learn those things.
Okay, so remember, any one of you, principles and values, long-term vision, what could be the right and what could be the wrong vision? No, Mike, otherwise no points.
We can give a good impression to people and they can further become devotee by going to temple.
Okay? Leave everyone with a good impression. You can write that down. That's not just for book distributors, it's also for leaders and for managers. Leave everybody with a good impression. So that the next time people want to talk to you, they want to meet you, they want to interact with you, because you left a good impression on them. You notice sometimes you see people and you're like, oh, I don't want to talk to this person. You know, you have people like that, you just want to avoid them. Does this ever happen to you? Yeah, and there's reasons for it, right? Why? Because you had a bad experience with them. But if people leave a good impression on you, like every time I see Vangsivadan Prabhu, I'm like, hey, yeah, I love the guy, you know? Like, I want to talk to him. Yeah, he's tough, but that's his job, you know, that's his service. I mean, he was our teacher in Bhaktivedanta. But he's good. But that means he has to be tough, otherwise you're not good. Now, if somebody is only tough, but is not sweet, then people don't want to deal with them, you know, they just want to avoid them, right? So you got to make sure that your masala is balanced, that it's not just all spice and no sweetness, you know, you have to keep your balance. And we'll talk more about that, okay? So, leave everyone with a good impression. That's your number one rule in Sankirtan. So that the person, the only goal is that the person wants to have more interaction. Their only question should be, how can I meet you again? When can we meet again? You know? This was nice. I want to meet you again. Huh? I could tell you many stories, but we got some ground to cover here. If I get too carried away, you have to tell me, because sometimes it's easy. Yes? Mike, in the back.
Prabhuji, you mentioned one very nice point, that how many congregations have the books and how many have read it. So I was wondering what could be the reason why they are not encouraged to take the books,
Yes.
and why they are not encouraged to read the books.
Good question. Hare Krishna. We have asked this question. It's not the money. Because everybody has a few mobile phones, and every mobile phone costs way more than a full set of Prabhupada's books. So it's really not the money that's missing. It's really taste. Everything we do in life is about taste. Huh? Did you like that uttapam with that chutney? It was nice, right? It was good. The taste was right? It worked out. So if somebody hits your taste buds, you're like, hey, I want this. I like this. Huh? I go out, and obviously here in India, people ask me, oh, you're from Switzerland. Why you're doing this? You know, like you could be there and eat chocolates and, you know, do stupid stuff. So why are you doing this? And I tell them, rasam. You know rasam? You like rasam? And they, okay, I get it, rasam. Huh? Then I say, bhakti ras, you know, like there is ras, there is taste in this. Huh? If we cannot turn spectators into participators, they will not get that real ras. They will not get that real taste. That taste comes from application, from seva, from service. Not just, you can't just watch bhakti. That's why the online thing doesn't work. It may have been okay as a substitute during pandemic or crisis or war, but it's not going to work on the long run. Why? Because people need to participate. Because information without application does not lead to realization. And without realization, there is no transformation. You can write that down. This stuff is not copyrighted, you know? This is like open source, okay? You can put that on t-shirts, you can put it on your website, you can brand that and sell it. I don't care. Information without application does not lead to realization. And without realization, there is no transformation. I know here people like riddles and they like acronyms and they like all that stuff, you know. So it's like miracles. You have to give people a little miracle, then they're like, oh. Huh? The mind goes, yeah, I like this stuff. So, let's get back to Sankhya Yoga. Questions? Yes. Yes, the question was, why do our congregation not have the books and read them? Number one, first and foremost, they don't have taste.
They are coming to the temple, they are
Yes.
taking prasad, so they are more favorable than the outside person who has not visited the temple.
Yes,
Then why he doesn't have taste?
because they think that I'm already doing this. I don't need to have the books.
Or is there any issue with the leadership? Is there an issue with the practicing people who are doing
Always,
it?
always. The fish always rots from the head. The head starts rotting first. It's always the leadership is the problem. On the bottom, you have a lot of sincere people. Everyone's hardworking. But if the leadership is not able to communicate the vision, then there is what's called a gap, you know, a breakdown in communication. They think we're okay, we got the numbers, you know, the articles are happening, the bills are getting paid, we're doing what we're supposed to be doing, some people take initiation, but we're not really moving forward. We're not really creating that spiritual revolution in the hearts of misguided humanity. If even our own people, have you been to the homes of your congregational members? You seen their altars? Huh? There's grandma and there's Jesus and there is Satya Sai Baba and this guy and that guy and the other guy. Huh? You've seen, right? And you look at their library, they have all the Harry Potters and they have all the encyclopedias and everything, but very few people have Prabhupada's books. Why? Because we have not been successful in involving them in this process of Harinam Sankirtan. So, it's very simple. Education. We have to get together. Satam prasanga mamavira samvido bhavanti rit karana rasayana katha that chochana dasha pavargavartmani shrada ratir bhaktir anukramishati. You know the translation, right? Because you've done your homework. So that stuff works. But we have to apply the formula. It's not just nice shloka. It's actually something that we need to apply. Huh? Now, sometimes people are not so resourceful. They may not have the 12 or 20,000 rupees to get a full set. So then what you do? You have an installment plan. You say, we give you all the books now, and you just pay 1,000 per month. Can you do 1,000? Yeah, I can do 1,000, right? Not a problem. My friend Radheshyam Prabhu, who is now on health leave, I told him, why don't you do Bhagavatam installations? You know, you go to people's homes, you make a little jambang, you know, a little puja, yantra, tantra, mantra, you know, throw a few flowers, and they can invite all their friends. And he said, I've done a few hundreds of those already now. It's too much, you know, like I don't know how to get out of it. Sometimes when he does one of those Bhagavatam installations, then there's 2 or 3 people who say, I also want one, I also want one, you come to my home. And he said, it's too much, I can't do it all. I said, well, train others to do it, just delegate, you know, just let other people do it. Huh? You're the sadhus, people trust you. Tell them, I come to your home, we have a little katha, we have a little festival, a little utsav. Do you like utsav? Do you like festival? Do you like to cook for your family and friends? Invite everybody. Have 50 people there. Bhagavatam installation. Huh? Krishna svadhamapagate dharma jnana divisaha kalavanashta drishamesha puranarko dunodita. When Krishna left the world, he stayed in the form of the Bhagavatam. Krishna surya sama maya hayandakara. Yahan Krishna tan maya dikara. If we don't have the Bhagavatam in people's home, we have failed, Baba. We failed. Huh? It's as simple as that. So make sure every congregational member has a set. Better a full set. If there's no space, feel free to throw out the TV. Feel free to make space, you know. You're the sadhu. They can't stop you, you know. You're in saffron. You're invincible, right? You got superpowers. You're the superheroes. No one can, you know, you can just walk right in there and do what you need to do. Use your superpower. Huh? At least to help people to get into the Bhagavatam. Otherwise we have failed. Simple as that. Huh? Prabhupada got up every night at midnight to translate 6 pages. Took him 2 or 3 hours. Why? Because he felt our pain. He felt our ignorance. He knew that unless I have... They asked him, why did you wait so long? Why did you wait till you're 70? He said, I had to do my homework. I had family, I had children, I had business. And then I had to write books. Took him 8 years to publish the first 3 volumes of the Bhagavatam. 8 years. Not enough time to do everything. What do you do when you realize I'm running out of time? What do you do? Prioritize, yes. And for him that was start writing the Bhagavatam. But even that took too long. What do you do when you realize you're doing the right thing, but it's taking too long? Come on, you leaders, you managers, what do you do? To whom? No one can do what I do. They're all incapable. They're all a bunch of idiots. Only I can do this. Then I'm the idiot. If somebody makes a statement like that, then they're the idiot. Krishna is the ability in everybody. Huh? You have to actually train people and empower them. And believe it or not, they will distribute more books than you. You know why I'm doing this little thing since 40 years? Because I'm 55 now. I started when I was 15. I realized I don't have that much gas left in my tank to conquer an empire or to, you know, do major stuff. But if I can inspire and empower a few people, they can make it happen. I'd rather have 1% of each and one of you's energy and potency than 100% of myself. Because some days my machine doesn't work so great. Because after doing that for a while, you know, it's taking its toll. And you may realize that the project is too big for you to pull off. Like you see this Pune project. I remember when we used to do things just at Krishna Chandra's home, in the bungalow and in other places, and there was no NVCC. There was camp later on. So, if you want to do things of magnitude, you have to build a team, and you have to empower the team. And that means education and vision. And the books are essential, foundational. It's not optional. It's a must. So, installment plan, housewarming ceremony, sponsor books. You heard of Shastradan? CSR, you know, you pull in the funds and then you just gift books to people who can't afford them. And your congregational members will be very happy to receive Prabhupada's books. When I was 15 years old, I was in 9th grade. Sorry, I'm getting a little autobiographical, but stories sometimes help. You know, like Narad Muni, he tells us a little story in the Bhagavatam, in the first canto. It's kind of nice, right? He says, I was the son of that maidservant, you know, and I didn't really do much, but I ate some of their maha, and, you know, I helped a little bit cleaning the dishes, and then boom, you know, boom, something happened. So, I read the Bhagavatam, the first canto, part 1. I found it in my boarding school, in the Swiss Alps, in my school. And my friend, who was going to the same school, he had a Bhagavad Gita. And I said, can I have it? He said, no, it's mine. I'll show it to you, but I won't give it to you. You know reverse psychology? You can't have it? I wanted to have that book, but he didn't give it to me. He only showed it to me. So then I went to the temple, started chanting, started reading Bhagavatam, and after a few months I wanted to have all the books. So I told the devotees, bring me all the books. So one devotee came and he drove me home and he brought 50 books. And he brought second-hand books, you know, from the library, like old books, because he thought this is a school kid, you know, he doesn't have any money. He didn't know that I was working 3 jobs. I was delivering newspapers in my neighborhood. I was working for a flower shop on the weekend to deliver flowers. And I was working in recycling every couple of months with a friend. His dad worked in a factory. We did some aluminum recycling. There is good money in recycling. And I saved up all the money. And I didn't know if it would be good enough, but I gave that devotee $500. In 1984, that was a lot of money. It was all the money I owned. I didn't know if it would be enough. He was very happy. I was also happy, but you know, I was not so happy that I got old books, but at least I got the books. I didn't want to argue with him because he was in Saffron, you know, and you don't argue with those guys, you know, in Saffron, you know. So, but I got the books and I started reading them. Now, in the last 40 years, Krishna allowed me to do a few things without getting into details. I have 3 grown children. I built school in Mayapur. You know, I've done the ministry thing. I've been around the block a few times, all by Krishna's and the Vaishnavas, by Prabhupada's mercy. But getting Prabhupada's books was the best investment I've ever made in my life. Now, I've done a few things, especially as far as book distribution goes and other things, but this is the best investment I've ever made in my life. If you can communicate this to your congregation, that this is the best investment you will ever make in your life. This is substantial. This is foundational. From this, everything will come. This will be like a kalpavriksha tree. You don't know where to pick fruits. You got so much. You need to hire a team to pick all the fruits that you're going to be getting. Huh? Our congregation has to have Prabhupada's books, and they have to gain access and taste. And that happens through study, through regular classes, and also by going out and doing Harinam and doing distribution and getting a pratyaksha-vagamam dharmyam susukam kartumavyayam. You need direct perception, and then that taste will manifest. Huh? Why do you like rasam? Because it tastes good. Why do you like book distribution? Oh, I don't like it. You know. I get poor score. You know. Why do you like book distribution? Why? That's those 5 points, right? The why question. Why am I doing what am I doing? Huh? Okay? Yes.
His Holiness Bhakti Brihad Bhagavat Maharaj in this beginning was telling us that the best emotion that a soul can ever feel is that of compassion. So although we don't have fully blossomed compassion, but we are acting as instruments of compassion, that gave us the highest ecstasy. And somehow we don't do it round the year, but we do it at least in the book marathon, and that gives us great ecstasy, taste in our bhajan, and we feel very enlivened when we do book distribution.
Wonderful. Srila Prabhupada writes that bhakti is the most congenial form of intimacy. We want to be intimate with Krishna. We want to be close with him. So to be his instrument is the closest we can be. And if you notice that Krishna is empowering me, he's using me, through me, he's touching people's lives. That's like magic. It's amazing. And he will make you say things and do things that you didn't know that you were capable of. Has this ever happened to you? Huh? It's amazing, isn't it? Now, we'll tell more stories and miracles later on, but thank you. Very valuable point. Maharaj is deep and very thoughtful person. It's very nice. Thank you. Other points, yes. Microphone in the front. On 3 seconds.
Hare Krishna. You said the long-term results of book distribution are more important than short-term benefits. So sometimes book distributor says that just give out the books and it's just like time bomb and it will act. So it will act in some way or other.
Okay, so what's your question?
So there we are not looking at the long-term goals. Just give out the books somehow or other.
Are these two mutually exclusive? Question, does long and short-term goals have to be mutually exclusive, or can they be compatible? They can be compatible, okay? So don't let your mind trick you with this black and white, this or that. Why not both? The solution is usually and, that word and, not or. Like one time Prabhupada was asked, why are there so many different religions? Prabhupada said, not different, variety. Do you like variety?
Yeah.
Or you just want to eat plain rice every day? No, you don't mind some sabji and some dal and some chapati, right? You like variety. Variety is the mother of enjoyment. So don't see them as either this or that. If you're actually having long-term vision, then short-term goal will also be included in the long-term vision. And if we properly do the job, we should also keep in mind that tomorrow and next year and next decade, there should be more than just burnt earth, There should be somebody there who is happy to see you. Okay? Other questions? Yes?
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. With the seventh purpose, it's written with the aforementioned mentioned purposes to publish and distribute periodicals. So you must be aware of that recently that Transcend app has come from BBT Mumbai.
Yes.
So I wanted to
I
ask.
spoke with him yesterday. Ananda Tirtha
Yes,
Prabhu.
Yes. So I wanted to ask Prabhuji the importance of this hardbound literatures. So do we have to consider that if we are going through online, it has the same potency?
Somebody can put it in the car park? Online? And apps? Can somebody write it down? I need some assistance here. Online and apps. Okay? We'll deal with it. Not right now, but we'll deal with it. Okay? Other questions to principles and values? Okay. So your homework so far for today is your 5 whys, okay? And also you should read the aims of book distribution, which are in your student handbook on page number 9, okay? And in the back of your student handbook, there's something called a worksheet, and that's on page number 29, Principles and Values Assessment Worksheet. Let me see. Oh, this takes way too long. Huh? Yeah, go to page 29. Yeah, it probably doesn't work that way. Just do the scrolling thing. Go, 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 go. Back. Yeah. One before. Before. Principles and values. Anyway, forget it. Just turn it off. Distracting. You see, old-fashioned hard copy works better. Technology is always glitchy. You know, it's always playing up. So get used to the idea. Don't get too fixated about technology. You can use it, but sometimes it just doesn't do what you want it to do. Okay? So page 29, you fill this in. You get the idea? What you need to do? It's self-explanatory. It's not too difficult. You see how well or how poor you're doing in these areas. Give yourself an accurate score. This is just for your own self-assessment. We're not going to look at this. This is adult education. This is for you. You have to have some sense of self-assessment, some sense of introspection, okay? Yes, you had a point. Like if it says, do I have long-term goals? Do I resist the temptation of short-term results when they conflict with long-term gains? If you think you're doing well, you give yourself an 8. Always leave room for improvement. If you think I'm doing terrible, give yourself a 2 or a 3 or a 4, you know. So in this way, you see how you're doing in these fields. Yes.
Books are getting costlier now, more and more. So this also, sometimes the distributor has a back in the mind that now books are very costly now.
No, I get this. Write it down, cost of books. But we're getting into a lot of details here right now. And the topic on the floor is questions on principles and values. It's a valid point. It's in the car park, so we haven't forgotten. We're going to talk about it. I talked with the man yesterday, Ananda Tirtha.
So one more question. Like this customer care
Is, yes.
So, book distribution, is it a personal activity? Means you have to distribute books personally, or it can be arranged through some system so that people, like online book distribution?
Everything. All the different means. In a war, you have to explore all the different options. It's not just, one way.
So it's creating a system as well as personal also, both.
Yes. Why are systems alone not sufficient? Some of you systems engineers, why are systems alone not sufficient? What's the limitation of systems? Mike.
Because system is run by the person.
It is run by people.
If people are not means releasing Krishna consciousness, they are not healthy in Krishna consciousness, then system will fail. So we have to nurture them also.
Yeah. And also people expect personal interaction. They don't like just systems. I didn't join because of a system. I didn't join because of an organized religion. There was no organized religion. Now in some places we're moving towards more organized. But this course is not about how to go from disorganized to organized religion. This is about how to expand the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Of course, Srila Prabhupada told Giriraj Swami that this movement will expand by intelligence and good organization. So these are required. But it's not just all about technology. The one person who wrote these books, he was from before the web. I tell that to kids on the street. This man here, he's from before the web. He was from before cell phones. They go like, what? Wow. They didn't have cell phones back then? No. And the books that he consulted were written on palm leaves, by people who just lived under trees and in caves and in the Himalayas, in holy places. They go, wow, that's pretty cool, man. Huh? Yeah, that's our tradition. That's our legacy. That's why systems alone are not sufficient. Systems are as good as the people who made the systems and as good as the people who operate the systems. Like these machines, you know, they're man-made. So they have certain flaws and they have certain tools that you can utilize. But we could be doing this thing underneath a tree somewhere. Okay, it would be probably a little more difficult. You imagine they didn't have any amplification system when the sages of Naimisharanya were there. How many sages were there?
88,000. 88,000.
88,000. How did they manage to tune into that FM 108, you know? I mean, they were all, nobody sent them a WhatsApp message. Okay, now, you know, it's time to go to class. They just showed up. How did it happen? They were connected. They were connected to the Lord of the Heart. They were in tune. They were in tune. Like, but now, because we're so disconnected, so now we need systems, we need reminders, we need laws, we need legislation. Have you noticed how poor we are to enforce our laws and our rules in ISKCON? How many people put their shoes into the shoe rack? Not happening, right? Huh? System also has to improve. Huh? And the people who are using the systems also have to improve. So it takes both sides. Okay, what else? We got half an hour, but I have a few more fun things to do before we quit for lunch break. I just wanted to check whether you have any questions on principles and values or on what we heard so far, what we discussed. Do you want to know how Prabhupada distributed books? Now, if you feel tired, feel free to stand up or drink some water or jump around a bit, you know. Do you want to know how Prabhupada distributed books? You sure? But it may change your life. If you know this, you can't go back, you know. It's like Prabhupada went to America. The first set of books that he distributed was to Captain Pandey on the boat. Captain was a real nice gentleman, and he took a set and gave Prabhupada $20. It's the only money Prabhupada really had, besides the 40 rupees that he got from his son, you know, Vrindavan Day at the dock. He gave it to his dad, but he could never change that money till he got back to India. So then he arrived in the US. He went to Butler, Pennsylvania, 7-hour Greyhound bus ride. And there, Sally, she arranged programs for him. So he went to a Slippery Rocks College, and Professor Larson was very happy to have Prabhupada. Prabhupada spoke to the students, and then he asked the professor, he told him, I brought these books all the way from India for my very dear friends. Would you like to have a set? Guess what the professor said? Yes, of course. If somebody offers you friendship, especially a senior, a superior person offers you friendship, you take it, right? So he took the books. When Prabhupada was in New York, he survived on distributing his books. He placed books in bookstores. Haribol. I know it's hard to stay attentive, but before being Krishna conscious, you have to be conscious. Otherwise, all the good stuff is over and you just missed it. So, Prabhupada placed books in about 7 bookstores in New York, and every other week he would go visit these bookstores. And one lady who was working in a bookstore, she asked Prabhupada, are you from India? Are you from India? Yes. And she said, I love India. I love Indian food. And Prabhupada said, what do you like? She said, I like samosa. Next time, Prabhupada cooked samosa and brought samosa for her. Why? She's his book distributor. She's part of his Sankirtan team. She's selling Prabhupada's books. That's the only money that he gets, is from his book sales. If you invest quality attention, quality time, quality affection in interaction with your team, not only will they eat out of the palm of your hand, they will build your temple, they will build your congregation, they will do all the media, all the preaching, all that stuff. All you have to do is give them the vision, give them the taste, and just be there with them along the path. That's all you have to do. Can you do that? Can you do that? It's not a rhetorical question. On Saturday, I'm going to Braj, and you guys are the ones who are going to have to do this. There's 8 billion people on the planet and 1.5 billion in this country. It's a lot of people. Have you noticed? You ever been to Kumbh Mela? There's a lot of people out there. Now, right now, we're dealing with very few people here. But as our capacity grows, Krishna will give you more and more. Krishna will give you more and more responsibility. Krishna will not give you more than you can handle. You can write that down. Krishna will not give me more than I can handle. Right now, he has gracefully just given me a little bit because my capacity is small. But if my capacity would increase, Prabhupada said Krishna gave the whole world to the Pandavas in 18 days. He said Krishna can give you the whole world. We can't even keep one bathroom clean. We can't even keep a few shoes on the rack. What would we do with the world? It would really be troublesome for the world and for all the people. So we're here to learn how to cooperate. We're learning love or bhakti through cooperation. Like right now here, we have this little play group called, teacher-student interaction. And we learn how to cooperate together because that's what you have to do with your teams when you're back home. And there will be all the usual suspects. There will be the people who are, asleep, and the people who are annoyed, and the people who are not interested, and the people who know it all, and the people who are utsahamai, yes, we got to do this right now, let's go do this. And you go like, hey, cool down, relax, First, let's eat breakfast, and then we go out, okay? You have all those people, and you have to get them to work together. It's like herding cats. Have you ever tried to keep a few cats together? Herding cats? It's not easy. It's very difficult, in fact. But there are tricks, and I will teach you a few of those tricks tomorrow, not today. Today is foundational day. So, what I would like to do right now is the following. We went pretty fast. We've done pretty good so far. Is this going too fast for you, or are you comfortable with this type of speed? You okay? I can go faster because I'm vata, so I'm like there before you even wake up. But you have to be comfortable with that, okay? So I'm teaching you principles. A few details also, but remember, details always vary according to time, place, and circumstance. Just like if you're in India, it's a different environment. It's got a different setting. It's got a different sensibility. If you're in the West, even in India, you have to see where you are and who is your audience. I discussed last night with a very good friend of mine. He said, sometimes we're too much focused on the outside world, on how to get things done, and we're not really enough in touch with just trying to please Krishna and just doing it for bhakti, Sometimes we get too much into project management mode. Has this ever happened to you? Yes or yes? Please say yes. Thank you. You're a very good group. You know that? I'm not here to tell you what to do or what to think, but I'm here to help you ask the questions, because that's the process that you have to use when you deal with your teams, okay? So, I went down on an appreciation tour. I did after I finished my project and I handed it over, it took me a few years, but once the team was there, I was free to travel. I did 2 tours of the United States in a van, and I just visited every center and every gathering and every sadhu I could find. Especially it was pandemic, a lot of stuff was closed, people were in anxiety, and they didn't have anybody who came and visited them. So I went and I met Giriraj Swami in Carpinteria, California. And I spent a few nice hours with him, and he shared his heart about Prabhupada. And he told me that Srila Prabhupada's heart was completely open. He was unconditionally loving. He never really rejected. He said personally he only knows from 2 or 3 people who Prabhupada rejected. Besides that, his heart was open. At the same time, he was very detached. He was very detached. He gave everybody the opportunity, but he was not attached to the outcome. When Michael Grant, Mukunda Maharaj, walked out the door and said he's going with his girlfriend to the West Coast, Prabhupada said, "I just open a center when you're there in San Francisco." He's a new guy, long hair, got his girlfriend, got a dog, doing stupid stuff. And Prabhupada says, just go and open a center. Are you telling that to your people? Just go and open a center? Hell no, right? You say first you do this and this and this and this, and after 10 years maybe we'll discuss. Maybe we'll make you in charge of the Sunday feast plate wash, or something. This is a new guy. He came yesterday. And today Prabhupada tells him, go and open a center. And you know what? He did it. He did it. And it happened. It worked. Why? Why did it work? Because Prabhupada saw the potential in him. He also saw the deficiency. He's Trikalagya. He can see what's going on. He has the X-ray vision. But he chose to see the potential and to fan that spark. As leaders, if we can see the potential in ourselves, in each other, and in all the people that we interact with, believe it or not, people will actually do spectacular things. So, sometimes you get carried away telling stories and you lose track of what we're trying to discuss. What was I talking about before I got carried away? Prabhupada, yes, Prabhupada, and how he distributed books. Yes. And then I went down and I did my tour, and I went an old friend. And we had been pretty close formerly, but lately not so much. And then when I met him, I said, I really like you, but I must have done something that upset you, because the last few interactions, it wasn't really good. I didn't like it, like we were kind of distant and just, and he said, no, you haven't done anything bad. I would have remembered it. Maybe I have offended you. And I said, no. So we concluded that we both were too much project, too much result oriented, and not really enough sadhusanga, enough just tushyanti charamanticha, just, sharing our heart and just spending quality time together. And that evening he invited me to speak to his students, because he's a teacher and he's got many students. So all of a sudden, there's a class like this, and there's 2 chairs, and we were sharing the mic, and we were going back and forth. And I was saying something and playing the pass, like in volleyball, and then he spikes it, and then he says something, and we go back and forth. And for them, it was really something amazing. They saw for the first time that our teacher has friends. And that was really something new, because they didn't know that our teacher also has friends. Don't try to be the guy. Don't try to create a little personality cult, because it won't be sustainable, because we're only here for a few afternoons. Prabhupada succeeded because he was selfless, because he communicated the process of Krishna consciousness. It was not about him. He took himself out of the center and he glorified Krishna. And because of that, Krishna glorified Prabhupada. And that competition is still going on. And the count is not yet in. I have a hunch, because Krishna likes to be defeated by the love of his devotee. Huh? Prabhupada could have called it the Prabhupada movement, like all these other guys with the frizzy hair and the long shirts and all that kind of stuff. They made it about themselves, right? And when they died, the whole thing was over. It was finished. But Prabhupada called it the International Society for Krishna Consciousness. Now I know 2/3 of the world's books get distributed in India. India is booming. There's temples opening all over the place. There's lakhs of congregational members. And sometimes people say, why are we wasting our time with the West, Because it's just not happening there, Why not just focus on India? You know that Paschyata Deshatarine? You've heard that before, right? You've said it a few times every day. Do you know what it means? Meditate upon this. That's also part of your homework. You can write an essay on Paschyata Deshatarine. There would be no India mission if there would not be Paschyata Deshatarine. If Prabhupada hadn't gone to the West, because he saw, it's not happening, I don't have enough time, my time is running out. Like now, I got 15 minutes. So what do you do when your time runs out? You have to focus on the essential. So what was that? Recruiting people that are so driven, so passionate, and so good at what they do that they can make it happen. So he went to US, and then to Europe, and then to the rest of the world, and he recruited intelligent people, and he trained them. And then they went and spread Krishna consciousness all over the world. And then in 71, it came back to India. Started in 65, came back to India in 71, quite late. How many Indian Prabhupada disciples are there? How many did Prabhupada initiate in India? Out of over 5,000 disciples. Very few, yes, about 100. About 100. Huh? Now, most of the people who really were helping Prabhupada, they were never initiated by him. Those who helped with Juhu, those who helped with the first few projects, they had their gurus, they had their other groups, but they were loyal to Prabhupada. So, feel free to empower people, to work with people, to inspire them, even if they're not your chelas, they're not your disciples, they're not going to shave up and become initiated, but they will be loyal to the mission. Huh? When His Holiness Kadamba Kanana Maharaj left the world in Vrindavan just very short time ago, what was his last word? Mission. Mission. Mission is what brought us, mission is what keeps us, and mission is what keeps us going. If we don't have a clear sense of mission, and if we can't communicate this to our members, we have failed. We're not going anywhere. Huh? Because there's plenty of other groups who already do most of what we're doing. But this is really unique. This is really special. This mission of Lord Chaitanya. Yare dekhe tare kaha Krishna upadesh, amara gyai guru tara edesh. You be the guru, you be the teacher in your area for your people. And in this way, you spread Mahaprabhu's glory. That's how the movement spread. And that's how the movement is still expanding. I just visited 30 countries in the last 6 months. South and Central America, Caribbean, and most of Europe. That's why I'm not yet fully here yet. But by tomorrow I should be better. So, the process works everywhere. But we're in different stages of development. If you say, how is ISKCON doing? There is not a ISKCON. It's over 1,000 centers, over 2,000 affiliates, different nonprofits, NGOs. So it's too much going on. Different stages of the development. Work more with principles, work more with taste, work more with empowerment, and mission-driven. And you will see that people who are actually intelligent, who are conscious, who want to do something, they will connect with that mission, purpose. Not just result Not just, a few numbers, a few gimmicks, a few firecrackers, but they want substance. That means process-oriented. It's the process, the routine program of Krishna consciousness. That's what Prabhupada came to give us. Golokera Premadana, Harinama Sankirtana. So it is still the Sankirtan movement of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, isn't it? It is still that movement. Now, ISKCON, the organization, is facilitating the Sankirtan movement. But an organization or a society without missionary spirit will not be a movement. It'll just be like a homeowners association, or other types of societies. You have to have mission, otherwise there is no movement. What does the Ayurvedic doctor ask you when he asks you about your health? Movement, right? How is the movement? Do you have movement? Is something moving? If it's constipation, ooh, no good, no bueno, right? There has to be movement. If there's no movement, you have no movement. You may have a church, you may have a museum, you may have a few nice temples, but you don't have a movement. Have you been to Rishikesh? You've seen hundreds of ashrams empty, only for Guru Purnima. One day a year, they come, they make a festival, they offer a few flowers to Gurudev, and then they close the shop again, and it's one chokidar for the rest of the year. Most of the places. Why? No mission, no vision, no empowerment. Don't think this will not happen to you. These were Prabhupada's words when he left this world. You're going to get old, you're going to get diseased, you're going to die. I was in Novosibirsk, Siberia, in January of 1996. It was minus 35 degrees Celsius. Have you seen snow and ice in your life? Not on a movie, but I mean not like when you're eating ice cream. I mean, have you ever experienced snow? Some. No. You stuck your hand into the ice box, right? And it started freezing there, right? So it's so cold that if you were to spit, it would turn into ice before it hits the ground. It's so cold. Your whole face hurts because it's so cold. And the cars, they have to have spikes on their tires. You know spikes? Little metal spikes? Otherwise they just slide off the road. So it was very cold. So I'll just share that one story as a masala for you to work up an appetite for your lunch. Okay? You like that? Because we already covered what we wanted to cover this morning. So, one devotee, he said he went out in Siberia to distribute books. And he was on the main street, and he met another devotee who was also distributing books. But he didn't know that devotee. And he was really surprised, because it's not a big city, it's not like Mumbai or something, or Pune. So he asked him, Prabhu, which temple are you from? And that other person looked at him and said, temple? Prabhu? I don't know what you're talking about. And he said, well, you're distributing, where did my Bhagavad Gita go? Oh, it's there, yeah. So he asked, well, what are you doing? He said, look, 2 years ago, I bought this Bhagavad Gita here on this same street. And I read it. And it's the best book that I've ever read in my life. And at the end of the book, Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he says, if you want to become dear to me, you have to give this knowledge to others. What's the shloka? Uyam mat bhakte shobidashyati. And the next shloka? Yes. So if anybody asks you, why are we doing this book distribution thing? You give them these two shlokas, okay? That's it. Case closed. No need for argument, no debate, no nothing. You just say, okay, the boss has said it, and that's why we're doing it. We start with Ishwar, no discussion. Okay? So, that man said, I read this, and Krishna, the Lord says, if you want to become dear to me, you have to give this knowledge to others. So what did he do? He went to the Xerox copy shop You know Xerox copy? And he had 100 copies of Bhagavad Gita Xerox copied. When was the last time you Xerox copied something? A good while ago, maybe 3 or 4 pages, right? Some application form or something. It's a 1,000-page book. He had copies made. He produced 100 copies. And then he went out on the street and he told the people, look, it's the best book I've ever read, and I want you to have it. And it cost me this much to produce it. Can you give a donation? And people would take the book and donate. So I have a doubt. Do you know that, actually I have many doubts. Do you know that to doubt is the sign of intelligence? So I have many doubts, so I must be very intelligent. That's a joke. You're supposed to laugh. So, you want to know my main doubt? You want to know? I'm going to tell you even if you don't want to know. That's the kind of guy I am. What is my main doubt? What if all of us become useless? Useless. You know, most of the spiritual movements started really revolutionary. They started really radical. There were some preachers who were willing to die for their cause. And just a few centuries later, or a few decades later, it turned political, it turned into money-making machine, it turned into exploitation. They lost sense of mission. Have you noticed? It has happened all over the world, in all the different religions. History tends to repeat itself. Why would this not happen to us? Has it happened to us? Yes, in the 50 short years, it has already happened on several occasions in several ways. And it is still happening, because this is the way of the world. It's Kali Yuga. The question is not if, the question is when. Huh? So what if this happens to us, and we become a little too lazy, a little too arrogant, a little too argumentative, a little too fat, a little too confused, a little too excited about our own little glory and our own little projects? What if this happens and we lose track of mission and of mercy and of selfless service and all that good stuff? But then I hear stories like this, and I'm convinced that somewhere in Siberia, somewhere in Patagonia, somewhere in the Jharkhand forest, in the jungle, somebody will find the Bhagavad Gita, and they will read it. They will read, Nacha tasman manusheshu yakashin me priyakritama, and they will say, hey, this is it. This is the best thing that I've ever read. We have to give this knowledge to others. And this person will again restart the Sankirtan movement from scratch. The process works. Param Vijayate Sri Krishna Sankirtanam. Mahaprabhu, you know the big boss with the big arms there in Mayapur? Huh? Panchatattva? He already declared it, that this movement is declared a success. The only question is, am I going to be part of that success story or not? Everybody has to answer that for themselves. Huh? That's a personal choice, whether we want to be part of that success or not. But it requires teamwork. We'll talk more about teamwork, about team dynamics, because you can be a good player, you can be the best baller or the best batter, but if you're not a team player, you can't be on the national team. Huh? You get the idea. So we'll talk more about team dynamics, how to improve that. This afternoon we'll do some fun stuff. I'll ask you to bring your reading book, whatever it is that you're reading. If you're reading from your phone, just bring your phone, because we'll do something fun. Okay? So thank you for your kind attention, and we'll continue. I'll leave you with one little story. I was in Bulgaria. Now, before Bulgaria, after Bulgaria, I was in Slovakia, Bratislava. And I walked into a store, and the security guard, he looked at me, and he said, "Are you a Hindu monk?" He's an old guy, you know, some dadu, in his black uniform. He asked me, "Are you a Hindu monk?" And I said, yeah. And he said, I got 5 books. And I asked him, are you chanting the mantra? And he said, yeah, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. He said, you and me, we're the same. We're doing the same thing. I'm part of this, you know, like I'm doing what you're doing. You get it? 500 million books is out there. When I started distributing in 84, people had no clue about yoga, meditation, karma, reincarnation in the West. No idea. They thought it's really strange. Now, people will say, vegetarian? Oh, I know it's better. I'm sorry. I'm not doing it yet fully, right? Have you noticed the shift in consciousness that's happening? So if you want to see results, you got to go on Sankirtan. You want to see the actual transformation, not just personally, but also in the public, you have to go out on Sankirtan. And you will see how people will transform through this process of Harinam Sankirtan. You may not notice the transformation, because when you boil the frog and it goes in increments, the frog doesn't notice that it's changing. But people who will look at you, they will go like, whoa, what happened? So when you go and you engage in Sankirtan, what happens? Chetodarpanam Arjanam, Bhava Mahadavangni Nirvapanam, Ananam Buddhivardhanam. These are natural occurrences. So thank you for taking part in this Sankirtan experiment. It's a life-changing experiment. We'll talk more about how to actually do it in a sustainable way and how to inspire others to do it. Tomorrow we'll get into all that, how to distribute books and how to break records and how to build communities on book distribution and Sankirtan. But today we're still going to work on the foundation. So this afternoon we'll talk about appreciating Prabhupada's books and a few other things that are very important. These student handbooks are yours to keep. You already wrote your name in it. You know how it works. You only get one. If you want another one, you got to pay for it. I don't know what the rules are here. I'm just... Thank you very much. All glories to Srila Prabhupada, Vanchakalpatarubhyascha, Kripasindubhya cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Anantakoti Vaishnavrinda ki, Gaur Bhakta Vrinda ki, Gaur Pramanandi, Hari Hari Bol.